Groceries are more expensive than ever, but I truly believe you shouldn't have to sacrifice the magic of a delicious home-cooked meal just because the budget is tight. So today we're making 3 traditional meals that are built on affordable staples like tofu, lentils, rice, and potatoes. These dishes take a little bit of love and patience and turn humble ingredients into pure comfort food. Let's get started. For our first dish, we're going to be making japchae, which is a Korean noodle dish with lots of colorful vegetables. This is traditionally served at celebrations like weddings or holidays. It's made with really simple, accessible ingredients like sweet potato glass noodles and whatever vegetables you have on hand. Oftentimes will contain meat. Today, I'm just using a little bit of stir-fried tofu. So let's go ahead and knock out our prep. I like to make my japchae as colorful as possible, so here I'm using half each of a red and yellow bell pepper, and the method I'm showing here is my favorite for getting nice uniform pieces. I'm also peeling and julienning a few carrots, and if you have a mandolin slicer or a julienne peeler, you can make really quick work of this. I am slicing up half of an onion using a red one for the color. And the one thing I splurged on today was a carton of shiitake mushrooms. Since we're not using meat in this recipe, this adds a lot of savory flavor, but you can feel free to substitute regular button mushrooms if you need a budget-friendly option, or just go ahead and skip them altogether. Lastly, I'm just dicing up half a block of extra firm tofu. We're done prepping our vegetables and our protein, and now we're gonna get to cooking, starting off with our glass noodles. These are called jangmyeon. They're made of sweet potato starch. If you've never had these have an amazing, chewy, bouncy texture. I do not live near an Asian market, so I get mine from Thrive Market, who are sponsoring today's video, and Thrive Market has plenty of high quality ingredients at great prices. Every time I order from Thrive Market, I stock up on these because they are a staple for us. First thing I'm doing is blanching my spinach. It just needs to go in for a minute till it's wilted, and then you'll transfer it to cold water so it stops cooking and retains its nice green color. I'm gonna go ahead and use the same water to cook our glass noodles. When those are just slightly undercooked, you can drain them, give them a quick rinse with cool water to remove extra starch, and then I like to add a splash of sesame oil to help keep them from sticking together. Then I am draining the spinach, squeezing out the extra moisture, and giving it a quick chop. If you have the time, you can fry each vegetable separately, and this will allow you to preserve the distinct colors and flavors, and to cook each component to tender yet crisp perfection. But of course, if you need to save some time, you can just stir fry everything together. In that case, try to add the vegetables in different stages depending on how long they need to cook, and make sure your pan stays hot enough so the veggies fry rather than steam and turn into a big pile of mush. Now, if you have a big nonstick wok or another large nonstick pan, I would recommend using that for the entire cooking process. I really didn't think ahead. I ended up switching pans a few times, which was totally not necessary. The japchae sauce could not be simpler. Just combine a few tablespoons of soy sauce, some toasted sesame oil, some brown sugar, more or less to taste, some fresh garlic, and toasted sesame seeds. With all of our components prepped, it's time to put everything together. Stir fry the noodles with the sauce, and if your pan or wok is big enough, you can add all the veggies and tofu back into to warm everything through. Since my pan is minuscule, I'm doing it in 2 passes and combining everything in a big mixing bowl. The texture of the jangmyeon noodles is best when enjoyed fresh. In my experience, they don't hold up very well as leftovers, so this is a dish best served the same day it's made. Our japchae is ready. This is one of my favorite dishes. Just like all the recipes in today's video, it really is more than the sum of its parts. The time and the intention you put into the preparation of this dish really elevates it and makes it taste so special. Unfortunately, making a lot of delicious food on a budget does not eliminate the issue of having to clean up afterwards. Lucky for me, Eric is a freak and actually likes cleaning. He'll just pop in a podcast and do a little kitchen reset every night before we wind down. We don't just get pantry staples and snacks on Thrive Market, we also stock up on non-toxic household essentials. Things like dishwasher tablets, dish soap, all-purpose cleaner. And they carry some of my favorite brands like Blue Land and Molly Suds that use safe ingredients and are actually mindful of sustainability, which is very important to me. If you're interested in trying out Thrive Market, you can use my link thrivemarket.com/Sarah's Vegan Kitchen, get 30% off your first order with them, plus a free gift. And now that the kitchen's all clean, we can come back and do it all again tomorrow. Welcome back to day 2 and to another recipe. Today we are making mujaddara. This is a lentil and rice dish that's popular across the Levantine region of the Middle East. It's one of those recipes that has been feeding families for generations, and it's one that varies from region to region, household to household. I have tried so many different mujaddara recipes, and I'm going to show you my favorite today. Let's talk about ingredients. First, you'll need some rice. I personally like to use basmati rice because the long grain will give you a bit more of a fluffy texture. You will also need some lentils. You can use plain green or brown lentils or black lentils, just depending on the texture you prefer. These are a little bit firmer than the regular green. And lentils are another one of those pantry staples that I always stock up on from Thrive Market. Thrive Market membership unlocks members only pricing, so I can get really high quality organic ingredients like this and this olive oil at 20 to 30% lower prices than my local grocery store. And speaking of olive oil, you're gonna need a lot of it because we are going to be caramelizing onions. Lots of onions. Honestly, you can use as many as you want. It's my favorite part of the dish. Everything else I have here is for a little salad that we're gonna be making on the side. But let's go ahead and get to cooking. I start off by rinsing my rice 2 or 3 times to remove some of the extra starch. Then I cover it with a few inches of cool water and set it aside while I prepare my other ingredients. The only chopping you need to do for this recipe is the onions. Try not to cry too much while you slice those up, and you can use between 3 and 5 medium-sized onions depending on how much you like onions. Next, we'll measure out our lentils. Pick over them just to make sure there are no little stones hiding away, and go ahead and give them a quick rinse to remove any dust. Transfer them to a pot and cover them with water. Set that on the stove and bring those up to a boil.
Hi, my chippy.
This is a dish that Leela cannot try.
No. You're definitely going to want to wear an apron for this one because, like I said, we're using a lot of olive oil. Want to protect your clothes from the splatter. When frying your onions, I heavily recommend not skimping on the olive oil. The oil is what's going to help the onions develop that beautiful, deep golden color and sweetness without sticking excessively to your pan. Now, this dish may be frugal, but it is going to require some patience as you caramelize these onions. Resist the urge to stir them too often. You want the onions to make sustained contact with the pan to build that color. In the meantime, you'll be boiling your lentils till they are just shy of fully cooked. At this point, we will drain the rice that we've had soaking and add that into the pot. Stir in some of your browned onions along with a generous dose of salt, a little bit of cumin, and black pepper. I've also seen a few recipes that call for ground cinnamon. Cover that mixture, reduce the heat to low, and allow it to steam for another 15 to 20 minutes until both the rice and lentils are cooked.
What are you doing, honey?
This is what the onions cooked down to, which I should have foreseen, but I want more caramelized onions, so I'm doing 2 more onions really quick. I should have done 5 from the get-go, because I'm just obsessed. It's a sickness. After the rice and lentils are done, I like to turn off the stove, leave the lid on, and just let them rest for an extra 5 to 10 minutes. Then I'll go in and fluff them up. When it's time to serve, you can transfer to a platter. Spread those beautiful caramelized onions on top and garnish with some fresh parsley if you feel like it. Our mujaddara is done. I'm so excited. This is dramatic plating for just 2 people, but I feel like this dish is so stunning. I just needed to give it its full moment. I made a simple Shirazi salad. This is named after a city in Iran, but versions of a cucumber and tomato salad exist all across the Middle East, the Mediterranean. There's even something similar called cucumber salad in India, but this is just gonna be such a nice, crisp, fresh counterpart. I'm so glad I went back and made more caramelized onions. That is just incredible. And you really cannot get simpler ingredients than rice, lentils, and onions. And it really is just about patience, time, pouring that love into caramelizing the onions, and it just takes it to a whole new level. I could eat this every single day, this combination. Now, in true child-free millennial fashion, whenever we make a special meal for ourselves, of course, we have to spoil our puppy too. And we actually get quite a few different treats, snacks, and some supplements for Leela from Thrive Market. Not only is everything at a great price, but we can also count on the quality because Thrive Market is highly selective and they restrict over 1,000 ingredients. Leela has a very sensitive tummy, so whenever we find something that works for her, we use Thrive Market's Buy It Again feature to remember to stay stocked up. And Leela is literally always in the kitchen with us. We joke that she's like our little sous chef.
She has the most serious case of in the way-itis. Like every time we're doing anything, she just wants to try to help. So we need to keep her distracted.
Yeah, so we give her like popsicles or lick mats. She's always like under the tripod too. We're back today with one final dish that is frugal yet cozy and special, and this is gonna be a 2-for-1. First, we're gonna be making crispy tofu katsu, which if you watch my channel frequently, you'll know this is a very nostalgic dish for me. I make it all the time. And then we're gonna be making a big pot of Japanese curry to serve it with. I usually use these curry roux cubes, which are very easy to use, but today we're gonna be making a from scratch version, which actually is not too much more difficult. We'll just be making our own roux from scratch and using Japanese curry powder. This is just gonna allow us to be a little more in control of the ingredients, spice level, and all the flavors.
I see you're wearing a Nick shirt over there.
Yes, I am.
You ready for the game tonight?
Yes, I'll be there, I think.
Can you hit me with the Brunson Selly?
Curry served with rice, or kare raisu, is one of the most popular comfort meals in Japan. It originated in the Meiji era, introduced by the British Royal Navy, who had colonized India, fallen in love with the flavors of Indian cooking, and attempted to approximate the flavor of their complex spice blends by producing curry powder. Now, at the time, sailors in the Imperial Japanese Navy were subsisting on a diet of primarily white rice, which led to extreme nutrient deficiencies and a debilitating disease known as beriberi. Noting that British soldiers were not suffering from beriberi, the Japanese adopted the British practice of making heavy stews with meat, potatoes, carrots, and onions thickened with wheat flour. They added curry powder to this stew, and the Japanese curry we know and love today was born. Then, post-World War II, instant curry roux blocks were invented, which meant anyone could throw some into a pot with simple root vegetables and enjoy a flavorful meal in minutes. I usually do use the instant blocks, but I wanted to try something new today and make my own curry roux. So first I'm lightly browning some sliced onions in quite a bit of fat, and then adding in minced garlic, ginger, and shredded apple for sweetness. Then I'm adding in a few tablespoons of Japanese curry powder along with some flour to form a roux. I had to add some water to get a workable consistency. Now this step is not traditional, I just wanted to experiment with a smooth curry base, so I did blend my roux into a paste. We're going to use that same pot to boil our potatoes and carrots for about 15 to 20 minutes until they're nice and tender. And in the meantime, we're going to prepare our tofu katsu because we are making katsu kare. If you'd like a step-by-step tutorial for the tofu katsu, check out my killer tofu video, which I'll have linked in the description. But in short, I'm dredging my tofu cutlets in seasoned flour, dipping them into a starch slurry, and then pressing them in panko breadcrumbs. I'm partial to the texture of frozen and defrosted tofu for this dish. It just gives it a nice chew. I like to fry mine in peanut oil or sunflower oil for a nice neutral flavor. Monitor your oil temperature and let your cutlets get nice and deep golden brown for maximum crunch. Remove them to a wire rack when cooked and immediately sprinkle with some salt while they're still hot. I'm keeping my tofu katsu in a low oven to maintain the crispness while I put the finishing touches on my kare. Now the potatoes and carrots are tender, and I'm going to add in my roux mixture, whisking vigorously to break up any clumps, and within a few minutes of simmering, it thickens up into a beautiful, rich gravy consistency. It's common to doctor your Japanese curry to your preference with ingredients like ketchup for sweetness, soy sauce and Worcestershire sauce for extra umami, and some will even add instant coffee or chocolate for extra depth of flavor. So play around with it and make it your own. It's really good. It's spicy. Spicier than the blocks we usually use. Hi, Leela. Hi. That crunch.
It is good, the curry. It does taste different than your normal recipe, but it's still delicious.
There's a lot less sodium when you make it from scratch.
You can get the right balance, obviously. Katsu, I know it's crunchy because I heard Sarah eat it. It's incredible.
We finished filming just in time. We have like 13 minutes till this basketball game starts.
Let's go Knicks. That brings us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe gives you some inspiration to try out some new, cozy, affordable meals. I'll see you very soon in the next video. Bye.